Hey, this is Doc Yates. I'm a naturopathic doctor, registered acupuncturist, and a kinesiologist, owner of the Yates Naturopathic Clinic, and the founder of the interactive health website, Able Health. And this is the Simply Health Podcast, a show for females where I work to simplify and demystify the secrets of achieving optimal health naturally, based on my own experience in working with thousands of female patients over the past 15 years of my clinical practice. Welcome to Simply Health. Hey, this is Doc Yates, and welcome to the Simply Health Podcast, brought to you by Able Health. And today's podcast, I want to go over 10 tips to make you look 10 years younger within 10 weeks. And each one of these tips on its own, from what I've seen in practice, has even just if you just do one of them, that will have a benefit to make yourself feel younger and look younger, to be honest. But if you use all 10 of them and use them for that 10-week period, you will definitely notice the change. And I also would bet someone is going to come up to you and ask, what have you been doing differently? Females are very, very observant. And I have found in clinic which is why I don't do any advertising, is because my patients become like billboards. And their friends always notice that they've done something different because they look better, they look more rested, they look more youthful. And that's what you are going to learn today. Number one, I'm not saying these are easy tips, but these are what make the big changes. An anti-inflammatory diet, and then if needed, if you need to lose weight, an anti-inflammatory weight loss diet. This is a huge portion of my practice, and this is something that right off the bat, people notice big changes, not just in how they look, because if you're carrying a lot of excess weight, that does make you look a lot older. But by reducing the inflammation, people feel so much better. The bloating, the discomfort, the stiffness, the waking up exhausted, the brain fog. You get the diet under control as the foundation for that, and you will see big changes. And typically, it doesn't even you will start to notice changes within a couple weeks. But if you want the 10-year change, 10 weeks. Point number 2, hormone balance. When it comes to anti-aging, every anti-aging clinic has a lot of focus on hormone balance, and that's because it makes a big difference in how you look and feel. Your hormones play a huge role in your skin health, in your brain health, in your heart health, in your bone health, and not to mention in your sleep. And we're going to get to more on that in a bit, because if your sleep sucks, it's just speeding up your aging. So hormone balance. Most of the time for this audience, perimenopause and menopause, if it's perimenopause, you're probably considering progesterone, the use of progesterone, and then maybe a product that we have called Estrodom, or also called hormone balance capsules, to help with your body detoxifying any excess estrogen breakdown products if you're estrogen dominant in perimenopause. But when it's full menopause, it would be progesterone and typically the use of estrogen, assuming that you don't have an estrogen positive breast cancer. Otherwise, definitely consider the bioidentical hormones, because they make a huge difference in how you look and feel. Point number 3, which I alluded to earlier, but natural sleep aids. Without going into a lot, because some of them is more case dependent, but this is why I put this one in after the hormone balance, because if you get the progesterone balance first, that alone is a natural sleep aid. And then at most, you might want to consider some basic ones. So magnesium, I feel, is something that, and I've said this in other podcasts, magnesium for all. Most people do a lot better with the use of some magnesium, and especially before bed. You'll notice that even if it doesn't keep you asleep, like if you're waking up because of perimenopause or hot flashes, night sweats, or just restless sleep, the magnesium's not enough on its own to keep you asleep, but it will make it so that when you are sleeping, you're sleeping deeper and more rested. So magnesium should be added in. Typically, most people are using a magnesium glycinate, about 400 milligrams. We have a product called Mag Plus that I like a lot, and the reason that is that instead of putting any filler in it, we put cramp bark in it to help fill up the capsule, and cramp bark helps even more with the muscle tension. So magnesium. We also use different things there's a product we put together called Chill Pill, and that's got GABA, ziziphus seed, theanine in it, and that helps quite a bit for people with sleep issues as well. So you have to consider that. Sorry, I'm just got to drive around someone here in this snowstorm today. There we go, back online here. That's why I'm doing the podcast while driving. Okay, point number 4. Let's get back on track. Exercise until you sweat and then stretch. And the thing is with the exercise, pick something that you like. I don't want to get into details and say, oh, this one exercise is better than that. If you're just starting out, pick something that you enjoy, because the enjoyment is just as much of a benefit towards your health as the exercise itself. But do it enough that you break a sweat and then take the time to stretch after. And the exercise is going to help a lot with your mood. Sweating is going to help a lot with your skin detoxification, which plays a big role for anti-aging. And then stretching is good after will make you feel looser. And by feeling looser and less stiff, by being more limber, it's going to make you feel that much younger. So exercise until you sweat and then stretch it out. Number 5 and 6. We'll start with 5, but they're related. Herbal teas. And I know I beat on this all the time, but consider adding herbal teas. So for the morning or daytime, you're going to have a daytime tea, and I would suggest for the daytime tea, use herbs that have a bit of like an anti-inflammatory effect and that have adrenal support. Almost every case I see when I'm dealing with hormone balance, thyroid balance, sleep issues, you can just throw adrenals in there. So much so that I often tell people to not spend the extra money to test the adrenals, because the time they're done telling me their case history and story, I already know that the adrenals need support, and that's the vast majority of cases. So there's a lot of gentle herbs that you can use to help support your adrenals. And if you're doing teas, I'll list off a bunch of them for you right now. I'll pick up ones that actually taste pretty good. So holy basil tastes really good. Licorice is hit or miss. People either love licorice or dislike licorice. Schisandra berries is a really good one. Siberian ginseng doesn't really have a flavor, but that's another good one. And then you can combine that with any type of anti-inflammatories that you like. Ginger is a great one for teas. Turmeric doesn't really you'd think it would have a strong flavor, but it doesn't. It's just a strong color. Cinnamon is another great one. So any mixture of these teas that you could have as a daytime tea and kind of cycle through it would be a great addition. And then that point number 6 would be the nighttime tea. So having a tea after supper or after work, and for that one we want to focus on calming and tension. So calming and tension. So an example, simple teas for this, lemon balm would be a great one. Actually, holy basil can fit for that category as well. It's such a universal tea. Let me think of another great calming tea. Chamomile is a very easy one that a lot of people are familiar with. You can throw in things like cramp bark. So pick some of these teas that you can use. If you really want to calm down, there's linden. Linden is a great calming tea. Or, I'm sorry, I already said holy basil, but the California poppy, that's more if it's like right before bed, because it's going to make you sleep that much better. So consider having a tea that you drink during the day and then a tea that you drink in the evening or at night, just to get those benefits. Point number 7, looking 10 years younger in 10 weeks. A morning smoothie fully loaded. So I have found, and I've done this for countless numbers of patients, who, especially the ones who are using the weight loss program that we have, the program starts the day with a smoothie. But it's not just a protein smoothie. The smoothie is fully loaded with vitamins and minerals, and then I'll often have people put other things into it as well. Some people will put in maca powder or green tea extract, or some people put in those mushroom extracts. But start your day, just load up this smoothie with as many things as you can. And if you start your day with that, you will notice that if you have the right smoothie, I always notice that people's cravings throughout the day just drop off. So their cravings for sugar and starches and white flours, that drops off a lot. And they're just not as hungry as in general, because a lot of hunger pains are cravings, and it's because you're deficient in something. And these smoothies, when you put all this stuff in it, corrects those deficiencies. So that is a great way to start your day, especially Monday to Friday. But most people, you're kind of in a routine, you're trying to get to work. Start your day with that fully loaded smoothie. Number 8, this is a big one when it comes to the anti-aging, the look and the feel. Acupuncture. Acupuncture, something I do very frequently at my office. I'm not sure if it'll be ready by the time of this podcast, but we use something a lot with Able Health that are called these acupuncture sticker needles. So it's like these little tiny stickers, and they're probably smaller than a centimeter by a centimeter square. And in the center of that sticker, there is a little needle that, not exaggerating, is probably about the size of the tip of a mosquito's nose. Extremely small. For calming and facials, which I use for anti-aging and for reducing the depth of wrinkles, they work amazing. So we'll talk about from the calming part of it, because stress and anxiety plays a huge role in the aging process. I had a client whose anxiety was so bad that it was all they could do just to come into the clinic. They didn't even like to leave their house, and they had a friend bring them in, and they were terrified of needles as well, but I showed them these little sticker needles, and they said, oh yeah, that's fine, you can do that. So I put those on, and within 2 treatments, they were out with their friends again. They were out having fun, doing activities that they love. It works really good for stress and anxiety, but they're also the exact same points that I use that you put literally onto the fine lines around your eyes, around your mouth, to see the reduction in that. And actually, just recently I had a patient in. She said, well, can you do something to make me look younger? I said, sure. And I put those needles in. I said, you're going to look, she said, she asked for 8 years. I said 10 years. And she came back right after that treatment. She was like, wow, that made a huge difference. And it really did. So these are things where I'm getting to with this is that on Able Health, we're going to have these tutorials available. So it's completely available to any of the users of Able Health. It's going to show you exactly how to use these little stick-on needles, whether you're dealing with anxiety, whether you want to do the facials and anti-aging, even if you wanted to work on, say, pain for joints or neck or anything along those lines. It's all going to be available on there. So the acupuncture, even like I said, even if you have access to an acupuncturist and you have coverage to see them, by all means get that started. If you don't, then check Able Health, and we'll probably have those protocols loaded on there by the time you hear this. Number 9. So number 9 out of 10 for 10 tips to make you look 10 years younger in 10 weeks. Cut back on the alcohol and the coffee, especially during the week. So if you want to have some on the weekends, go ahead. But during the week, if you drink a lot of coffee, try and cut it down to just a cup a day. And if you're drinking a lot of alcohol during the week, try and cut that out completely during the week. And have it if you want to have some social drinks on the weekends, then go ahead. I have found that the more coffee and the more alcohol someone drinks during the week, the worse their sleep is. And some clients who come in and say, no, I use alcohol to help myself fall asleep, go back to what we discussed earlier about the hormone balance, the natural sleep aids, because while alcohol can make you fall asleep, it's going to be a crappy sleep, and you're probably going to be waking up more and not sleeping as deeply, and you're going to feel way worse in the morning. And that's the thing. It's not about the result that something gives you within a few moments or in a few minutes or within a couple hours. How you feel the next day is a really good sign of what you're doing and how it's working. That's actually a reason why I really like when I've got someone on these types of program and they're doing great, and all of a sudden they have a weekend where they just go off the rails, they eat tons of garbage, they drink a bunch. And actually, I like when they do that, because what happens is that they feel like absolute crap, and they realize how far they've come compared to where they were, and it's a reminder that it's not worth it. Like, you're not rewarding yourself by doing that to yourself on the weekends when you feel like absolute garbage the next day. So cut back on your alcohol during the week, cut down on your coffee if you're a coffee drinker to just 1 per day. And number 10. The biggest factor, people always say, will this play a role with my health condition? And the question is, will stress play a role with this? And the answer is always yes. Stress makes everything worse, including aging. So when it comes to stress, it's sometimes you got to change your view of the stress. So there's 2 tests you should always use when you're dealing with stressors. One is the 5-year test. So you got to write down all of your stressors, the things that are bothering you at that moment. And then say, of these stressors, 5 years from now, which would I even give a damn about? And then when you start crossing the ones off that don't really matter, you realize, okay, it's a busy work, but it doesn't have to be stress, and I don't have to dwell on it that way. The other great test when you're confronting stressors is to take that same list. And this one's a little bit more morbid, but it definitely is effective. Take your list, go for a walk, but go for a walk through a cemetery. And when you're looking at the gravestones, you're going to see a lot of people whose, when you're adding up the dates, they didn't even make it to where you are. And then you've got to ask yourself, if these stressors, if I was to go tomorrow, how much would this even matter? So the cemetery test definitely helps put things into perspective. Now, whatever is left on that stress list, there's two things you got to do with that. The ones that are real stressors that actually matter, you've got to make it a priority to address those ones. And if there's any that are completely out of your control, then turn to prayer, because prayer has been found to help in studies, and if you have a spiritual belief, prayer is extremely important. So address what you can, turn to prayer for the rest. So that is 10 tips that can help you look 10 years younger in literally a 10-week period. So, and not only look 10 years younger, but more important, feel 10 years younger. You're going to feel so much better when you're doing this. So if you want to start incorporating those now, and then you can touch base with me in 10 weeks and let me know how things are going. This is Doc Yates signing off. Thanks for tuning in to Simply Health. If you want to learn more about health, check out Able Health. If you want to see some of the other projects that I've been working on in health, business, music, and life, please check out the links below.